Hey everyone, and welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back.
Today we're going deep on Ray Dalio,
Ray Dalio, yeah.
founder of Bridgewater, one of the biggest hedge funds in the world.
One of the biggest, for sure.
We've got some really fascinating excerpts from his recent interview with Bilio.
Oh, yeah, I listened to that one.
And Dalio doesn't hold back.
He does not.
He's got some strong opinions about where the world's headed.
Yeah, well, he uses this framework.
Oh, yeah.
A framework of societal decline.
Yeah.
He breaks it down into 6 stages.
6 stages.
And get this, he believes the U.S. is already in stage 5.
Stage 5 already.
Stage 5.
That's a little unsettling.
It is a little unsettling.
I'm really curious to hear more about this framework.
So stage 5 is marked by a deep internal conflict and some really concerning disparities.
So what does this all mean?
Well, Dalio believes there are these 3 major forces at play right now.
3 forces
that are shaping the world.
Okay.
We've got the economic force, the internal conflict force, and the external power force.
Okay, so 3 forces.
3 forces, and what's really concerning is that the U.S. is experiencing all 3 simultaneously.
All 3 at the same time?
At the same time.
Okay, that makes things a lot more volatile.
It does.
Okay, so let's unpack these a little bit.
Okay, let's unpack them.
What does he mean by the economic force?
It's all about living beyond your means, both on a personal level and a national level.
Okay.
So the question is, are we as individuals and as a nation, are we spending more than we're earning?
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Feeling of expenses creeping up, and the budget getting a little tighter.
Exactly. And when that overspending happens, it creates debt, it fuels inflation, and ultimately leads to instability.
And how does that play out on like a national scale?
Well, it's the same principle.
Okay.
Just magnified.
Okay.
So when a nation accumulates an excessive amount of debt, that can lead to economic crises and weaken its global standing.
Makes sense.
And that brings us to the second force, internal conflict.
Okay, so Dalio, he paints a pretty grim picture of this internal conflict.
He does.
He talks about how moderates are being squeezed out of the political system.
Yeah.
There's this growing resentment and polarization within society.
Absolutely. And he uses some pretty stark examples in this interview.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He even mentions a study where a certain percentage of people from each political party said they would be okay with members of the opposing party dying.
That's a chilling thought.
It is.
Like, we're so focused on our own side winning that we've lost sight of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
The idea of working together for the common good.
You're exactly right. And Dalio argues that when a nation is weakened by these economic woes and internal divisions, it becomes more vulnerable to challenges from external powers.
Okay, so that's where the third force comes in.
That's where the third force comes in.
And I'm guessing he's talking about China in this case?
You got it.
Okay.
Dalio sees China's growing economic and military strength as a major force to be reckoned with. Yeah. Especially in the context of a weakened U.S.
Yeah, it seems like we can't go a day without hearing about China in the news.
It's true, and he makes some really interesting comparisons between the current situation with China and the lead-up to Pearl Harbor.
Wow, okay, so we've got these 3 forces.
3 forces.
Economic instability.
Yes.
Internal conflict. And a rising external power.
All converging at the same time.
All happening at the same time.
Yeah, and remember, this is all happening against the backdrop of Dalio's stage 5 societal decline. Which is characterized by this intense internal conflict, widening disparities, and weakening institutions.
But there's not just like one isolated issue. It's like this whole web of interconnected problems.
It's a system.
Yeah.
And he even points out that people are relocating based on their political values.
So they're essentially voting with their feet.
Voting with their feet.
Wow. Yeah. That's a strong indication of how deep these divisions run.
Deep divisions.
It's not just about disagreeing on policies anymore. It's affecting where people choose to live and build their lives.
Exactly. And this brings us to the elephant in the room. The part I'm sure everyone's been waiting for Dalio's predictions about conflicts.
Yeah. I have to admit, I am a little nervous to hear this.
Okay.
What kind of probabilities is he putting on these potential conflicts?
All right, so he assigns a 35–40% chance of both civil war in the U.S.
and
conflict with China
in the next
5–10 years.
35 to 40%.
35 to 40%.
That's a pretty significant chance.
It is a significant chance. It's not just some fringe theory he's throwing out there. These are probabilities, not guarantees.
Of course.
But they are based on his extensive analysis of historical patterns and his assessment of the current global landscape.
So he's looking at the past and the present to kind of project.
Yeah, he's connecting the dots.
Yeah.
And he's not just pulling these numbers out of thin air.
Right.
You know, he even draws parallels to the current war in Ukraine.
Oh, wow.
Seeing it as a potential preview of how a conflict with China could unfold.
That's a sobering thought.
It is a sobering thought.
And what about the economic side of things?
Yeah.
He talks about sanctions warfare, right?
He does.
Using economic sanctions as a weapon.
That's right. Dalio points out that sanctions can be a powerful tool, but they're not without risk.
Okay.
He warns that sanctions can sometimes backfire.
In what way?
Well, they can end up pushing other nations away from the U.S. dollar.
Oh, I see.
Potentially undermining its global dominance.
So it's a delicate balancing act.
It is a delicate balancing act.
Okay, so we've got these three major forces at play. This unsettling stage 5 decline and the potential for some serious conflicts on the horizon.
Yeah.
It's a lot to process, to say the least.
It is a lot to process.
But I think it's important to remember that the goal here isn't to scare anyone.
Absolutely not.
It's to help us understand the forces that are shaping the world.
So we can make informed decisions.
Exactly. So we can make informed decisions about our lives, our finances, and even where we choose to live.
You got it.
It sounds like we're going to need to explore those decisions in more detail in the next part of our deep dive.
We are.
I'm ready to move beyond the doom and gloom.
Me too.
And start talking about what we can actually do to navigate this complex world.
Yeah. What can we actually do?
So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned. All right, so we laid out some of the big challenges, right? The global challenges we're facing.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
And talk about what you can actually do to navigate this landscape.
Yeah. What can we do?
Especially with inflation.
Right. Inflation's on everybody's mind.
It's a big one.
For sure.
And Dalio has some strong opinions about this.
Oh, really?
And they might surprise you.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
What's the Dalio take on handling inflation?
He's very blunt about it.
Okay.
He says holding cash in an inflationary environment is a losing game.
Okay.
In fact, he straight up calls cash trash.
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 That's a strong word.
It is a strong word.
But why is he so against cash?
Well,
I always thought it was a good thing to have some cash on hand.
Yeah.
Especially in uncertain times.
It's a common misconception.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Inflation erodes the purchasing power of cash.
Okay.
Faster than traditional savings can keep up.
Right.
So even if your money feels safe sitting in a bank, it's actually losing value day after day.
It's like that sneaky thief in the night, right?
That's a great way to put it.
Silently picking your pocket.
Yeah.
But instead of stealing dollars, it's stealing your money's ability to buy things.
Exactly. And Dalio is all about preserving your buying power.
Right. Not just holding on to a certain number of dollars.
Exactly.
So if cash is out, what does Dalio recommend?
Well, I'm guessing he's got some alternative strategies up his sleeve.
He does. And what's great is that his advice isn't just for Wall Street gurus.
Oh, okay.
It's stuff that anyone can consider.
I like that.
One of the suggestions he highlights is inflation-indexed bonds.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. Bonds aren't usually my first thought when it comes to investments.
I hear you.
They seem kind of boring.
They don't have the excitement of, say, the latest tech stock or something.
Right, exactly.
But they have a cool feature.
Okay.
Their interest payments are directly linked to inflation.
Okay.
So as inflation goes up, the payments on your bond.
So it's kind of like a built-in inflation shield.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
For your investment.
Yeah.
Now, another key principle Dalio emphasizes is diversification.
Diversification. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Exactly. Think of your investments like a basketball team.
Okay.
You wouldn't want a team made up of just centers, right? That's true.
You need a mix.
Need guards.
You need a mix of positions and skills to be successful.
To win the championship.
To win the championship, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Same with your investments.
Makes sense.
Dalio is a big believer in spreading your investments across different asset classes.
Different asset classes.
He talks about stocks, real estate commodities, and even gold.
And what about cryptocurrency?
Oh, yeah, he does touch on crypto.
Okay.
But this is where he might surprise some folks.
Okay.
He actually admits to having very, very small exposure to crypto himself.
I thought someone like Dalio would be all over crypto.
It seems counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but he expresses some concerns about its volatility and the potential for government regulation.
Oh, yeah.
So he doesn't dismiss it entirely, but he's definitely cautious.
So it's not about going all in on any one asset class.
Right.
It's about spreading your risk across different areas.
Exactly.
Makes sense. But Dalio takes diversification a step further.
He does.
He even talks about geographic diversification.
You're picking up on the key themes here.
Okay.
It's not just about what you invest in, but where you invest.
Oh, yeah.
He suggests considering countries that are financially stable, politically cohesive, and unlikely to be caught in wars.
So it's like applying those same three forces.
It's all connected.
To your investment strategy.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Dalio even suggests evaluating where to live.
Wait, hold on. You're saying I need to analyze countries like I'm building an investment portfolio.
Well, think of it this way. You're investing in your life.
Okay, yeah.
Your future.
Yeah.
Your family's well-being.
Oh, okay.
Dalio believes you should be just as thoughtful about choosing where you live as you are about choosing where you put your money.
Okay, that's a really interesting way to look at it.
It's about more than just finding a nice place to live.
Yeah.
It's about aligning your life choices with these bigger global trends.
Right, and he highlights how those three forces can really impact your quality of life.
Absolutely.
Your safety, your economic opportunities.
He even talks about some of the challenges facing major U.S. cities.
Okay, like what?
Like rising crime rates.
Yeah.
In places like New York.
And Chicago.
Exactly.
And how more and more people are moving to states like Texas and Florida.
It's a real phenomenon.
It is. I've definitely noticed that.
People are making decisions about where to live.
Right.
Based on these factors. Safety, economic stability.
Yeah.
A sense of community.
A sense of belonging.
Yeah.
So it's not just about chasing the highest investment returns.
No.
It's about finding a place where you can truly thrive.
Yeah.
And build a good life.
Exactly.
With a much more holistic view of investing.
It's about taking control.
Yeah.
Making informed decisions. And navigating uncertainty with a clear head.
That's a good point.
That's what Dalio is really advocating for.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Dalio's three forces shaping the world. Stage 5 decline.
Yeah.
Potential for some serious conflicts down the line.
It's heavy stuff.
It is heavy stuff.
But the goal isn't to induce panic or fear.
Right. It's to equip us with knowledge.
Exactly.
With a deeper understanding.
So we can make informed decisions.
Okay, so knowledge is power, as they say.
Right.
But with all this talk about economic turmoil, potential wars, it's easy to feel overwhelmed.
I get that.
So what's the main takeaway here? What are we supposed to do with all this information?
I think if we connect it back to the bigger picture, Dalio is really urging us to think critically, proactively about the future.
So it's not about burying our heads in the sand.
Yep.
It's about understanding the challenges.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to navigate this increasingly complex world.
Exactly.